Hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on the ICT competition. I'm sure you're aware of this competition we published a couple of weeks ago. You can still apply during the next 3 weeks, and I'm happy to walk you through the different steps you need to take to become a successful candidate in this competition, through which we select experts in the field of information and communication technology. I will share my screen and show you a number of slides that I will walk you through, and then I'll take some of your questions that you post in the LinkedIn chat here and address these issues. So without further ado, let me share the screen right now and show you the set of slides that I have prepared for you. You will find this set of slides also on the competition page, which is currently available already. But I'm happy to extend a bit more and give some information which you might not have retrieved yet. Bear with me a couple of seconds before you see the first slide popping up, and I'll walk you through the different slides. There we go. So this competition, as I said, is published on the EPSO website, and on this competition page, you'll find this small infographic showing you the 6 steps to take to become a successful candidate. As I said previously, I will walk you through these 6 different steps and make sure all information is clear for you to apply. First of all, you should know that this competition has 4 different fields. You see the fields here: ICT infrastructure, project management, cloud and networks, and data science. As a candidate or a potential candidate, you have to choose one of these fields. You have to, and you can only apply for one of these fields. And you notice that we are looking to select quite a high number of successful candidates. So if you hesitate, I would say don't hesitate and go for it. There are, of course, always eligibility criteria you need to meet to be able to take part in this competition. This is an AD7 grade competition, which means it comes with a certain relevant degree and a number of years of relevant experience in the field that you apply for to be eligible. So depending on your degree, you need more or less years of experience, as you can see on this slide here. If you only have a relevant bachelor's degree, a 3-year university degree, you need to prove at least 7 years of relevant experience. And if you have a degree of a longer time at university, 4 or 5 years, you need 6 or 5 years of professional experience. If, however, you have a degree which does not match one of the relevant criteria that I will show you in a minute, you can still take part, but then you need to prove more years of relevant experience, 8 or 9, depending on the field you apply for. So I've been saying relevant a number of times here. Your degree must be relevant and your professional experience must be relevant. And you will see in the notice of competition, which is the legal document published on our website, which holds key information on this competition. And in this notice of competition, we have published, as you can see on the screen here, a number of areas which are indeed related, which are eligible for this competition. And as you can see, there are between 30 and 40 different areas in which you can have your degree. So it is quite broad. Same goes for the professional experience. Per field, we have extensively explained in detail what the field entails, so your experience should match what is described in this notice of competition. Apart from the degree and the professional experience, you also need to pick 2 EU languages in which you will sit your tests. You can choose any combination of any 2 EU languages, one of which should be at level C1, and the other should be at level B2. Now, you do not have to prove the level of your language knowledge, so we don't need any certificates or degrees or so. Just sitting the tests in the languages of your choice, and of course succeeding the tests, gives us enough proof that you master the language at the level required. Now, the selection procedure is in our EPSO world quite a standard procedure. It has an application phase, then it has a testing phase, and then of course then a results phase. It is good to know that the testing phase is all remote, so you do not have to travel to a test center to sit these tests. You basically sit them from your home computer at your ease. Of course, this remote testing comes with quite some strictness. You have the ease of taking your test from home, but then of course you will have to prove that you are alone in your room where you take the test. You cannot have any paper or pens on your desk. So all these details, information on what is needed and not needed while you sit these tests is again explained on the website of EPSO. So have a look there before you start doing these tests. So I will walk you through these different stages in detail a bit. As said, of course, everything starts with an application. Therefore, you need an account in the single candidate portal. If you don't have one, you can create one. Don't create a second account if you already have one. You can only have one account in this single candidate portal. So you work with that one for all your future applications to other competitions as well in the way. You can fill out your application in any of the 24 official languages, and you should submit it by the 10th of June, midday Brussels times. And then we will also invite you to upload your degree and your proofs of professional experience by the 1st of October. So you still have some time there to do so. Once you have applied, and good to know, everybody who applies will be invited to the set of tests. And there are 3 tests to be taken. First, we test your reasoning skills. As you can see here, verbal, numerical, and abstract reasoning is being tested. In your language 1, this is a set of multiple choice questions. You see the number of questions, the duration attributed to solve these questions, and the scoring. And as you can see, verbal reasoning is scored separately. And the scoring basis is pass-fail, basically meaning that you just need to score 10 out of 20 minimum. As long as you get that, you're still in the running for a place on the list of successful candidates. Then for numerical and abstract reasoning, you see that we will combine the score, so you need 10 out of 20 combined. So in theory, if you score 0 out of 10 for numerical and 10 out of 10 for abstract, you're still good to go for this competition. Now, I have to stress that you need to practice this. I can't stress it enough. Practicing is really key to being successful in this test. You find sample tests on our website in all 24 languages. So if you hesitate in which language to sit this reasoning skills test, play around with your languages with these sample tests and see where you score best. Also good to know is when you apply to this competition, you will come across a field at the very end of your application form in which you give or give not consent to us to share your details with your member state authority. If you give consent, the member state authority can reach out to you and offer you guidance throughout this competition and prepare you also for this competition and offer you training material. So it's quite a good idea to do so. Many of our member state authorities help their citizens to try and be successful in these competitions. The second test is what we call a field-related test. So we will assess the knowledge in the field of your choice of this competition, again in a multiple choice format, language 2 this time. And this time your score will be ranked. So just reaching the pass mark of 15 out of 30 will surely not be enough to be among the best people, the best ranked people who eventually end up on the list of successful candidates. So try and score as highly as possible here. You should know that we, EPSO, we do not provide test material for this test. Maybe it's not possible for us to provide test material on all the different competitions we run. So there we really rely on your experience that you have gained throughout the years, which gave you eligibility to this competition. The third and last test is a written test. So not a multiple choice test, but this time a written test, again in language 2. And basically, this is a test where we assess your written communication skills. So we're not testing knowledge in the field. You will be given 2 weeks prior to this testing date, you will be given a set of documents, which you should read extensively. And this documentation, you will have access to this documentation on the day of the test. You will then get a question related to this documentation on which you have to answer in and like an essay type of format, like an open text kind of format, and you have 40 minutes to do so. And again, the scoring is pass-fail based, so you just need 50%, in this case, 5 out of 10, to stay in the running for a place on the list of successful candidates. So this is the competition. This is it. There's no oral testing. Everything happens, as I said, remotely from your home computer, basically. So who are the people placed on the list of successful candidates? Well, the ones who pass this written test and the ones who pass the reasoning skills test, and among those, the ones who score best on the second test, the field-related test. That group will be placed on the so-called reserve list, which is in fact the pool from which all the different institutions recruit their staff. So once you're on this list, you will have access to a number of vacancies which are available in the different institutions, and you can apply freely to these vacancies. And also recruiters have access to this list, and they can, when they have a vacancy, consult this list, see who of this list seems to match their vacancy, and invite these people, 3, 4, 5 people, to a job interview. So once you're on this list, there is no ranking anymore. Everybody is equal, but of course, everybody has his or her specific expertise and degree, and based on those criteria, you may find a job quicker or not so quick, depending also on the vacancies available in the different institutions. So it is very important, as I said already, to read the notice of competition, because this notice holds key information, which is really explaining the whole competition in detail. If you still have questions for us, reach out to us through the contact form on our website, and we'll be very happy to answer all questions, of course. Keep following us on social media. We keep informing you on this competition and future occasions. There will be another ICT competition in September, so also keep an eye out for that one. This may give you another opportunity to apply also for. I will now stop sharing and take a couple of your questions. I see here that people ask questions on eligibility. First of all, you should know that when you apply, at the moment of applying, we EPSO, we do not check the eligibility immediately. So basically, everybody who applies first gets invited to the tests. You sit all the tests. Once we start scoring them, as said, we first score the reasoning skills test, where you only need 50%. Then we score the other tests, and of the people who are ranked best in the field-related test, of those people, we check eligibility. If they are eligible, they stay on the list. If not, then of course, when you're not eligible, you can't be on the list of successful candidates. And then we start checking the eligibility of the next people in the ranking to make sure to get to the number of successful candidates sought as indicated in the notes of competition. So if the eligibility check finds that the supporting documents for professional experience are incomplete or ambiguous, does the selection board exclude the candidate directly, or does it first send a request for additional documentation? So if your set of documentation is not sufficient for the selection board, you will be excluded. Now, you always can appeal to this. If you still think that you are eligible, you would simply file an appeal. You will find how to do this in the letters sent to you with your results. And then you can simply appeal, and your file will be reopened. You can then explain why you think that you are eligible, and your file will be reviewed again by the selection board. Then there's a question about the reasoning skills, about the different tests. The question is if they are to be taken all in the same day. Yes, you sit all tests in the same day, and you do not know the intermediate results. So after the reasoning skills test, you do not know whether you reach the 50% threshold or not. You simply sit all tests in one go with short breaks in between. So altogether, it'll take you about 3.5 hours or so if you count the different timings of the different tests. And only after everybody has taken the test, we start scoring, and then you will be notified about your results later on. Will the reasoning tests for the AD7 specialist competition be more difficult than those for the AD5 generalists? Yes, they might be a little bit more difficult. Okay, so take this into account. If some people of you have already applied for the graduate competition, the AD5 level graduate competition, you also have a set of reasoning skills tests there, but indeed the level of difficulty might be a little more difficult. Can we get a job for an open position with a higher AD number? The short answer is no. So if you take part in an AD7 grade competition, your job offer, the job you will get, will be at AD7 level. You start at AD7, regardless of the number of years of experience that you might have. I mean, as you know, we require minimum 7 years of experience if you have a bachelor's degree. If you happen to have 15 years of experience, just as an example, you will still start your career as an AD7 official. Now, within the grade, there are 4 steps, 4 salary steps. And based on your personal file, HR may actually offer you a higher step when starting your career. Once you start as an AD7, you will, of course, have a career progression. Every 2, 3, 4 years, you can be promoted based on seniority and, of course, competency. So that's how you become an AD8 and then an AD9 official later on. If I was an employee and then turned entrepreneur, is it a red flag? No. So all experience counts. Also, if you've been self-employed, if you've been an independent, if you've had your own company, you just send in the proofs of your first of your employer and then of your company, of course. And this, of course, helps and counts as professional experience. What happened to the EPSO talent screener tests where you were given 10 questions and you had to talk about your professional experience? Indeed, we don't use it anymore. So basically you sit the 3 tests. This is the EPSO competition. Once you are successful after this competition and you end up on the list of successful candidates or the so-called reserve list, it is then up to the recruiter to invite you to a job interview. And through the job interview, they may try and, of course, ask you additional questions to see if you are the one matching the job vacancy. And in this way, they try and see who you are and if you fit also in the team. We have a couple of minutes left. Sorry. There is a question here on diplomas and experience. Many people of you seem to have extensive experience and they want to, of course, upload as much as possible or indicate as much as possible in the application form. There is indeed a limit of 20 entries for each field in the application form. So if you have an exhaustive list of diplomas or professional experience or certificates or any, you should select the ones that are most relevant to the field of your choice and use those up to a maximum of 20 entries each time. What if the documents provided by previous employers just inform about starting and ending dates, but there is proof about projects in published articles in journals? Are these considered proof? Do you need to upload, or is the URL to the text okay? The URL to the text is okay. You can upload links to files. That works very well. Then a question on minimum requirements. So you must, when you want to apply, you must follow the application procedure in a certain order. So check on the competition page. When you open the competition page of this competition, in the right-hand column, you will find a little video showing you a step-by-step guide. And this will really guide you through the different steps in the right order to take to apply. Because you must first have filled out your CV and your profile before you can start the application in the single candidate portal. I mean, it's a bit a procedure you have to follow in the right order, because if you don't, you get into a loop and you're sent back to the homepage and you don't get out of it. So check out this little video. It's very helpful. You can even use it while you do your application and go step by step, following the video and then apply. More questions about how to prove the experience. So what to submit, because they only have work contracts. Each time, if you want to prove experience, you must prove it by certificates, by indeed proofs by your employer. So try and be as concrete as possible and as detailed as possible, because this will help the selection board to assess your file. This is for now. I hope this has been helpful. This recording will be available on LinkedIn and on our YouTube channel also of EPSO. I'm wishing you all the best of luck for this competition and hope to see you back at some other opportunity later on. Bye-bye.